As we get deeper and deeper into the Restoration of Azeroth class set meta, I feel like we're still searching for the perfect 30 of Dude Paladin, and I'm going to see if we can actually piece it together right here, right now. Flight Maneuvers by far is the best card that you want in your hand for the mulligan here. We're going to toss the rest. And let's make some dudes, dude. So I meticulously poured over data from both HS Guru as well as HS Replay. Ooh. It's looking like Aggro Druid. I want to get on the board as quickly as possible. I'm going to coin out the Treasure Gill. And then we're going to go into turn 2. Most likely Convalescence, but we could use the Rusher if we just needed to remove something and buff our boys here. Hatching Ceremony. We are going to do this play. So I'm assuming that they're going to have the Ravenous Flock and they're going to have the Hatchery Helper come down. But we're going to be in a pretty decent spot to be able to remove their board by buffing the attack of these guys. Hatching Ceremony could be good. What would they do? Like trade here? Boom, boom, boom. Let's see, trade here, hit twice. That would leave us 3 minions. Probably not good enough. I think the play here is just going to be a fight to remove our opponent's board as much as possible. And I actually just need to play the Platasaur. It likely gets killed and we lose the Hatching Ceremony, but we are going to have the completed Flight Maneuvers to be able to buff our board here. And we'll see exactly how much of this our opponent can remove, but if we're able to land a big Flight Maneuvers, we might actually just be blowing our opponent right out of the game here, so things going okay for us, as long as there's no nasty surprises. Not too worried about losing the Hatching Ceremony. Hatching Ceremony tends to lose its value as the game goes on. I do think it belongs in the deck, though. Some lists not running Hatching Ceremony, but sometimes it's just so strong. If you play it, and then the following turn you have like a Muster for Battle or a Teamwork. I also came across some lists that were only running 1 copy of Teamwork, and I think even some lists running 0 copies, but the card is actually just too good. So basically, we want to flood the board with dudes. Send the dudes, and then we want to be able to buff them. Like a nice wide flooded board with Flight Maneuvers, everything has Divine Shield, and then you play a Nozdormu. This feels like it could be really, really strong. So we're going to go ahead and make our play here. And I think we actually need to trade for the board. What do we need to have lethal next turn? If they trade both of these and kill a minion, maybe there's some shenanigans and they can remove an additional minion, like with double Living Roots. So if we push 12, we set them to 15. Have this in hand. I think we're actually just going face here. Trading is the wrong thing to do in this situation. We're way ahead on board. Tons of Divine Shields. Druid doesn't really have an AoE to be able to sweep our board. And then we have the Ursine Maul in hand for an additional 4 damage to be able to swing face. You'll notice also with the list here, I actually am not playing the 5-mana Dude weapon. Just because I don't think it's actually good enough, especially when compared to the Ursine Maul. So it does feel like the deck needs some type of card draw. Ursine Maul is going to be able to provide that for us. And the 1/1 buff on future dudes isn't that valuable, especially since it doesn't really come down until turn 5. And just by looking at the board state here, I believe we're actually just killing our opponent next turn. Not able to get up a big enough wall of taunts. Still making one more play, though. Yeah, so this is just not going to be good enough. I don't think. Let's see. We hit here, and then the Maul and another guy, so that is just going to be winning the game. And we close it out against Aggro Druid right here in game 1. And you can see if we had actually top-decked the Nozdormu, but we didn't need it this game. Back in for another game here. We actually hit another Druid. You can track my rank throughout the video. One of the things that I'm a big fan of, if you're familiar with the channel, is I like to play consecutive ladder games and kind of show an organic ladder experience. So you'll be able to see that I'm just queuing up consecutive games, and I'm not like playing 20 games and cherry picking, wins or, games that make a deck or myself look better than we actually are. I'm actually going to keep this. Treasure Guild you always keep, Flight Maneuvers you always keep, and Cinder actually isn't bad either, and it gives us a turn 1 play going first. That's going to be pretty good. We'll get off to a nice quick start against, I guess what we're expecting would be a aggro token Druid. And we're also going to have the Flight Maneuvers combined and ready to go on turn 4, so that's going to be a good play for us. And honestly, we likely just take this trade. They hit a wave shaping. I would kind of like to take this trade just to be able to force them to discard a card. Sometimes you can get lucky and hit like a Wicker Fang or whatnot, but that's going to be just fine. We're going to go ahead and get this down. That's going to be a Convalescence for us coming into play. And I think I'm just going to push the damage face here. No need to trade for this guy since there's not going to be a discard. So far I'm really liking this list. This is my Dude Paladin list. There are many like it, but this one is mine. So I think at this point we're likely going to be expecting the Hatchery Helper play. But we're going to be able to like buff our stuff big time with the Flight Maneuvers next turn, so we definitely want to remove this minion, make sure that it does not get buffed. And I'm going to go ahead and play the Platasaur. If they're playing Hatchery Helper, they're not going to remove this anyway. And then we're going to spend our mana by getting down this guy. So next turn we'll be able to play a Flight Maneuvers, and it's looking unlikely that our opponent's really going to be able to do anything with this board. So likely we take a trade with this guy, buff our guys. It's exactly the play that we expected. So I'm going to do that, and then that's also going to make room on the board for the Drakes here. And then we will take our trades, and you can see here we actually just blow out a second aggro token Druid with the Dude Paladin. Third Druid in a row. Again, you can compare my rank to the end of the last game. I've actually hit a pocket of Druids, again likely expecting aggro. I don't think you ever want to keep the Location or the Resilient Savior, but Cinder is really decent, and then Treasure Guild is always going to be a keep here. We pick up a Hatching Ceremony. That's really interesting. If we top deck like a Muster for Battle, we could actually consider just coining this out on 2. It may not be the greatest, though. It's probably better to just curve out Ceremony on 3, and then just kind of go from there. And I think I just want to go ahead and remove this before the whelp gets too big, so I'm going to use my coin and get out a Battle Master here. Following turn, we'll be able to get down a Treasure Guild, and that's going to give us a couple of 2/1s with Divine Shield. Should be a pretty decent play. We're going to start sending in the dudes. Not quite sure that we're going to have time to play a Hatching Ceremony in this particular matchup. It's only going to be good if we have a Muster for Battle or a Teamwork in hand, but even then it could be a little bit slow, especially considering that our opponent has initiative this game. So we're going to have to find a way to be able to make a comeback, and that's likely going to come in the form of just taking trades with Divine Shield minions. A little bit of a slow turn from our opponent here, though. And we're definitely going to take the trade. We want to start trying to get ahead on board now. And starting to feel a little bit better. Next turn we could go like Hatching Ceremony, potentially. trade to clean up the board, hatching ceremony. Still don't necessarily like it. What a great random card from our opponent. Still don't necessarily like it, and our situation is that we're going to have to trade here, unfortunately. I don't like it, but it's going to have to be done, because if they land a hatchery helper on this, we're just kind of in trouble. So we're going to have to make our play like this, and just remove as much of the stuff off the board as we can. Unfortunately, it's going to allow our opponent to get some decent trades as well. And now with no minions in hand, we're going to be totally dependent on a top deck here, so may end up actually struggling this game. Opponent hovering their hero power. They could consider just like hero powering to remove a minion, but that's a really weak turn. I don't really want to have to play 2 locations, but depending on what our top deck is, that might actually be our best option here. We'll have to see how the turn develops. I believe it is possible for our opponent to full clear here, if they do have some type of removal that they hit. We see the hatchery helper. Just a little bit unfortunate there, so we can buff each of these and trade. I think we definitely want to kill this because it is going to force our opponent to discard. I don't like it, but we're not necessarily going to hit anything good off the Platosaur this turn. So we are just going to have to go ahead and do this. Discard a Platosaur, so unfortunately we've now lost initiative to our opponent again. Just a little bit weak here, and nothing going on really on our side of the board. Opponent has more cards than us, they have a better board than we do. So we're definitely on the back foot this particular game. Now the good news is we are going to have a top deck as well as an additional draw from the Platosaur. But it's going to be definitely difficult for us to be able to get back into this game. An opponent making a big minion and drawing 2 cards. And hitting the Shatter card here as well, so definitely on the back foot. We do hit a muster for battle. Second muster for battle. I mean, I think we have to go for the hatching ceremony, but it's not going to be great. They're going to kill this. We're going to lose 1 muster, which is going to be totally fine. And hopefully we can find additional minions that we can actually play out onto the board to be able to take advantage of the hatching ceremony. And the Wicker Fang coming down actually just blows us out of the game. We have no way to be able to beat this. So I am going to concede. And well played to our opponent here. They did a very, very good job of controlling the game from start to finish. Up against Shaman this time, we're going to dump all of this and look for some better cards. Problem with the last game, we just didn't have enough dates. Hopefully we can do a little bit better this game in the Dude generation department. And with second egg, I'm just going to go ahead and coin it out. Every turn that they sit on the board, the whelps that hatch out of these are going to get bigger. We're going to hope that our opponents can't kill, hopefully not both of them, but certainly they may be able to remove 1 depending on what they have. And they are actually able to remove both. With their randomly created card as well. We're going to get down a location. And we are just going to work on going face here. So, best play for our opponent would be to Herald Alakir, and then they would be able to play one of the 1/1s and take the trade here. In which case, we would be looking to have to trade this guy into their 1/2 that gives the attack buff. We see that they do have it. So that 1/1's going to come down. We're going to see that take the trade here. They're probably going to trade this guy as well. Oh, they're actually... okay. That makes a lot of sense. So we're going to do that. We'll do this, and then I'm going to buff this guy so they can play the other 1/1 rusher, hit here, and trade like this. They draw a second static shock. Feels like a weak turn though because they had the hero power and float a mana. We see the Battle Master, but I think we just want to go for the teamwork here. And we're going to buff a minion, so wouldn't be surprised to see them trade the 4/3 into the 3/2 here. One thing to keep in mind against Shaman, it's likely a bad matchup for us because they have so many ways to clear the board in their deck. A lot of these decks run Lightning Storm, and a lot of them also run a... the Avatar form is definitely going to be in the deck. We actually hit an Erator here. Is now the time to use it. So this becomes a 6/4. Could have an additional 6/4, make this guy bigger as well, so it'd be like trade, trade, trade. And we still have the Erator on the board. That's going to be our play. We will hit here. We will hit here. And this guy is actually just going face here. Opponent down to 13. This is going to deal 2 damage face. And we're just going to look to try to kill our opponent as quickly as possible. Hopefully with no taunt or no healing, we'll be able to get there before they can get into their really powerful stuff. We do see a Hex come down. That's going to save them quite a bit of health. They also have a taunt here. Opponent very low on cards, but they're the cards they do have are really solid. So at this point, we are going to go wide. We're going to get down our rusher here. And I just want to push this damage face. So when this dies, it's going to deal 2 damage face. Opponents at 9. We're going to have another buff off of the location. And hopefully some of these minions are going to be able to stick here. Unfortunately, our opponent has been able to hit all of their card draw. So they're looking for like a Lightning Storm. Maybe a taunt. Avatar form. This is going to clear the board. That's really bad news for us. Really bad news for us. Critical top deck from him. This is going to be good news. Divine Shield on everything. And I think we just want to go ahead and get this 2/1 buff. And I think I want to put it on one of our little guys here. So again, all the pressure on our opponent. They really need to be able to remove our board here. We do have some potential to top deck like an Ursine Maul to be able to swing face and kill our opponent. And just kind of hoping that they don't actually hit a taunt. Unfortunately, they've drawn almost every taunt in their deck this game. So we're going to have to find a way to be able to fight through this. And unfortunately, we need like a Battle Master with Rush. That is actually a second created by Thunderquake. And this is exactly what I talk about when I say sometimes it just feels like Hearthstone is the absolute worst strategy game on the market. Like, how is this a strategy game? Opponent down to 3, but I have no way to be able to... no way to actually be able to get to their face. This feels like a game we've gotten so close and we're just not going to be able to get there. little bit too much created stuff. The two Thunderquakes were absolutely back-breaking this game. The only two cards they created, and it's perfect against Dude Paladin. We see the Lightning Storm come down as well here. One taunt in the way, we're working with only a top deck. The top deck being a Hatching Ceremony. It's just super unlikely that we're going to be able to win this game. There's no way that they trade with the taunt here. I think we're actually just riding this out to defeat. And our opponent, with their high skill discovers, look to be winning the game. See what they've got. Maybe they make a mistake. Maybe they disconnect. I think we're actually on the disconnect win condition with this particular game. And we see that they have the Deathwing, so we are going to bow out here. We tried so hard, got so far, in the end it didn't even matter. Yeah, Demon Hunter this time. We're all familiar with this no minion Demon Hunter deck. And I don't think you actually keep Righteous Protector. We're going to toss all of that and see if we can do just a little bit better. And we do have the Hatching Ceremony and the Muster for Battle play this turn. Would like to be able to coin this out ideally, but we're not on the coin. If you're still watching the video at this point, thanks for staying with me. Please consider hitting that like button. Goes a long way to be able to help me out, and I would certainly appreciate that. Also, in the comments, let me know what you think of the deck. Is this better than some of the other decks you've seen? Or is it actually worse than some of the decks that you've seen? I would say also, when it comes to this deck, this is a great deck to play. You know, if you have a job, you have a long day at work, you have a long day, you know, maybe if it's even on your day off. This is the kind of deck that you can just sit back and play. You can almost turn your brain off. There's not super complicated plays here. It's just an aggro deck. You punch your opponent in the face. Great way to relax in the evening after a long day. I think sometimes you need decks like that. Not every Hearthstone deck has to be like a massive strategy session. Sometimes you need to just be able to relax and play the game, and you don't necessarily want to put a huge amount of effort into it. We're going to do this. I would love to be able to get down Treasure Gill as well as Muster for Battle, just to be able to get some Divine Shield minions. We'll see what we top deck. If we top deck like a 1 or 2 mana minion, it might actually be better to play those rather than to play the Muster for Battle here. We hit a Brash Battlemaster. That's probably better, right? This puts 4 minions on the board to get buffed. And that's going to be better than putting 3 minions on the board and floating a mana. So we do have a decent board now. And we're actually threatening a lot of damage. We almost have a 2-turn lethal. If we equip them all and send everything face, I'm assuming our opponent is going to be able to remove at least some of these minions. And we see here, they actually have the Horn of Feasting. They're only going to be able to remove 1 minion here. But these are going to stick around for an additional turn. I need to swing first to see what our top deck is going to look like here. And all damage is going face. We really just need to pressure our opponent. So we actually have a 2-turn lethal. I guess we don't. We're probably not going to be able to push additional damage from our board. We need to be able to swing face twice, but their taunt is going to come up. And they've actually now drawn some lifesteal here to go along with... that was a top deck, by the way. So they're going to be healing up, and they're going to be hiding behind a 5/5 lifesteal taunt. So again, kind of every random thing in this game is going against us. And at this point, it just kind of feels like the tide has turned, and we're just not going to be able to get there to finish off our opponents. They're going to be healing each of the next 2 turns with this, and then the taunt is just going to be a backbreaker for us. We have 8, but we don't have any realistic way of being able to deal that extra 3 damage in our deck. And we actually don't even have 8, we just have 4 here. So our opponent, I believe, has broken us. Convalescence. I mean, we're definitely playing these guys. And I just need to get the minion on the board here. It does have Divine Shield. We can just equip the weapon next turn. I was debating equipping the weapon this turn, but since we've already attacked, it's not going to do us any good. And again, it feels like this game is just a loss. We get so close. But the top deck healing, just a little bit too much for us. If they would not have top decked this axe, we may have had a chance, but it's possible they would have had other plays. They've also been able to outcast 2 Horn of Feasting this game, which is a little bit unusual, but at this point we have no realistic way to win, so the best thing that we can actually do here is just to concede our way out of the game. Still in search of the perfect 30. I don't know if this small session tells us anything. We did manage to go 2-3 over the course of 5 games. Not very impressive, but that's on a small sample size. Overall, I do like this deck. Is it the perfect 30? That's going to be for you to decide. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.